Hey there, Wendy here with Jazzydoodledesigns, and today we're going to do part 3 of my colored pencil collection. We've already done the ultra budget and we've done the budget, so now we are on to maybe what we're going to call the mid-range pencils. Now these pencils are going to range in price here in the United States from about 70 cents to $1. We have 8 pencils in this group. So let's get started, and then like the other ones, if you haven't seen the other ones, I'll put a link in the description box below, but we're going to color a flower with each of them using essentially the same colored pencils as close as I can get. Okay, and we're off. Okay, before I go any farther, I am going to throw out my disclaimer. These are just my opinions, and like I said on the other videos, everybody's needs and budget are different. Same as if you ask somebody with a car, right? Some people just absolutely love one brand over another. And we're no different when it comes to colored pencils. Now, I can tell you there are some things that are objective, meaning, you know, how much they cost and, you know, how hard they are. That's a little subjective, but still not as much as how do they feel and do I like them. So take what I say with a grain of salt and know that my criticisms, if any, on the pencils are just to help you make a decision. I have bought all these pencils and I'm not getting rid of any of these pencils, so this is not a judgment, okay? And you can do fantastic art with budget pencils. Now, I will always tell people, if you really love the hobby, I do encourage you to get more in this group of pencils simply because you can buy them open stock. That's a huge thing. The majority of today's pencils will be, while not all of them, most of them will be available open stock. So that's a big deal for me. And also, these pencils in this group, you don't have to work so hard to get the same vibrancy of color on your page. So that disclaimer out of the way. First up are Cezanne pencils. Okay, so let me grab my cheat sheet. One moment. Okay, while you look at the palette, the Cezanne pencils come in 6, 12, 24, 72, and 120. Now, I do have the 120 set, although we'll get to it in a minute, but as you can see, there's definitely a lot of samey, so I would dare say this is closer to a 72 set of unique colors, because to me some of these are so similar that I'm like, what were you even doing? As of the time that I was looking these up, it was $84 for the 120, making them about 70 cents a pencil. So this is what kind of popped it into this category as opposed to the budgets. Well, I still would consider this a budget pencil. It has a 3.3 millimeter wax core. There is no open stock for these. Some of the pencils were a little off center. Let me grab them. You would think if you're going to do a colored pencil video that you would have the colored pencils on hand, wouldn't you? But that's just way too easy. Okay, so as you can see, I have mine in this case with my Amazon pencils, and this is what they look like. Okay, just to here. All right. So I'm going to pull out a pencil here, and then let's take a look at the palette. I'm going to zoom you in a little bit, as close as I can get you. Now, you can see, I mean, I feel like these 3 colors are very similar. These 2 are very similar. These 3 are similar. These 3 are similar. yeah, there's ever so slightly a difference, but guys, it's throughout the whole, all of the colors, right? It's not just like the yellows that are like that, but I mean, you've got very similar purples, you have very similar blues. Look at these four. I would challenge you, could you see a difference between these four, even five? Now, this one's starting to push into the green, but holy cow, like that's crazy to me. So that being said, let's take a picture, or let's take a look at a picture I colored with them. Okay, I colored this one here using the Cezanne pencils, and I feel like it turned out really nice. I got good results. I also colored this one with the Cezanne. Now, the purples are a little different, but that's just a matter of choosing the pencil, or, you know, having the color, not necessarily how it performed. But, you know, I feel like I got good results with the Cezanne pencils. So, not knocking them on that. I will say they perform a little bit better when you have a little more texture on the page. But let's take a look now. This is white, so we'll zoom. Let's take a look at the pencil themselves. So it has this kind of a silver here, like a matte silver, and then a little band of silver, and then the color it's supposed to be. There is no name, there are no names for these. Yeah, there are no names at all. There's just a number. So here it says 091. Now my understanding of these pencils is that these are Jerry Artarama's like name brand, you know, like how Amazon has a brand and Dick Blick has a brand. This is kind of the Jerry Artarama brand. Now I could be wrong on that, so please don't come after me in the comments if I am. But I believe that's the case, because for a while you could only get them on their website. So they're, you know, you can tell this one is a pretty, it's okay, but you can see how much higher it is here than over here. To me, that's not a deal breaker because I still get enough pencil that I'm not having trouble sharpening it. I don't find that these break easy, and I do know people that have touted, Cezanne themselves has touted, that these are like a Prisma dupe. I don't think anything is a Prisma dupe, but they're not a bad pencil. And, you know, it's a fair price. So, anyway, let's grab our pencils. What else did I want to cover? I made a list this time. Okay, so we covered the pricing, the color palette, open stock, the appearance of the pencil. I will talk about the hard versus soft when I'm coloring because it's been a little while and I want to make sure that I'm being fair. This is the review I did, so there should be a review, of a more extensive review on the channel, where we break everything down. But you can see I got a really nice blend. We got 5 layers to get to capacity. So, you know, I think they're pretty well pigmented. So let's take a look at how they color. Okay, let's get started. I would say these pencils, they're more on the hard range for me, and more what I would call like drier. Like, they are not scratchy at all, but they definitely feel more like a polychromos to me than a Prisma. To me, they feel more oily than waxy. Okay. Now, just like before, we aren't critiquing Wendy's coloring because this is just kind of a slapdash way of coloring just so that you can see the pencils in action. Now, the one thing I will say, for me, these feel like maybe a Castle Art Soft Touch or, I don't know, that's kind of the one that pops into my mind. Cezanne has said that they're similar to Prismacolor. I personally don't find anything really similar to Prismacolor. To me, Prismacolors are soft and they're a little smushy and they blend together by like smushing. These do not. These are a little more, I don't know. There's nothing smushy about them. You can see the marks that it still leaves here in the flower petal when we color. I would put them a little on the drier side as well. So who are these pencils for? These pencils, I mean, honestly, this isn't a pencil brand that I would necessarily recommend. Not because it's a bad pencil. I just don't feel like it brings anything special to the table, meaning the palette is very samey. There are some beautiful colors in here, but I don't get the really, there's no light lights, right? Like a light like this. We don't have that. Where is it in the blues? This is the lightest blue. To me, I like a palette that's a little, has that really ultra light and then some really ultra darks. And this palette is a lot of medium valued pencils. They're vibrant, they're nice. If you found them on sale, great. Scarf them up. They're not bad pencils, so I don't want to imply that they are. To me, I just think there's some better choices out there, especially given that they have, in my opinion, more characteristics of budget pencils, but more of a price tag of the midline. Okay, so that's Cezanne. One last note about Cezanne. On the pencils, it says they're light fast, and yet I don't really show, it doesn't say all the pencils are light fast, and there's no like rating system. So I personally wouldn't use them with the light fastness in mind. Okay, next up is one of my favorite pencils, the Derwent Coloursoft pencils. Now you can get these in 12, 24, 36, and 72 set. So 72 is the highest they make. I wish so badly that they would bump this up to the 120 set. The 72 set right now is going for $104, which brings the pencils to $1.44 a pencil. You can get these open stock. They are a 4mm core, so it's a bigger pencil. It's wax. It is a round pencil. And I would say about 85% of the pencils in this range are light fast. So that's what you're paying for too. And look at this color palette. It's absolutely gorgeous. It has a lot of these lighter colors. And I like that some of them are kind of like these moodier colors a little bit. I like that we have a little bit more of a stair step. That's something I really appreciate, because that's how I like to blend, is by going, you know, stair stepping up. Now, is this the perfect palette? No. I think you really struggle with 72 to create a perfect palette. Now, that said, you can create your own colors for sure, but I'm talking pre-made palette, right? But you get colors like this green that are really hard to find in other sets. And so I really enjoy working with these. Now they are a very soft core. If I had to pick a pencil closest to Prismas, it would either be the Coloursoft pencils or the Posca pencils. Those are the two that in my mind are most similar to Prisma. So let's pull out the book. You're going to see a lot throughout my series, because this is a book that I used almost every medium in. Okay. So the first one is this page right here. And just, look at this tree. I just feel like I got I actually prefer my tree to their tree. Well, a little bit. They do have some more detail, but I very much enjoyed doing this page with these pencils. And other than the white here, I think that's really it. And then the other one I did was this one back here. And once again, you know, I just really enjoyed using these pencils, and I felt like I got a very good result. You can tell I didn't do any blending. I didn't use any Zest-It or Gamsol. This is all just done, you know, with the pencil itself. And so I think it really shows what these pencils can do. All right, what else did we want to talk about? The color palette, you can get these open stock. Oh, let's take a look at the pencils themselves. Okay, so I have them in a case. Are you prepared, Wendy? No. Shh, don't tell. Okay, this is how they come. See how tight 3 fit in there? Because they are a little bit bigger of pencil. Okay, so let's pull out, maybe, I'm going to use this one, so we'll pull it out to take a look. Grab a piece of white paper so that we can zoom in and take a look up close at this pencil. So you can see it has a very fat core. Hope you can see that. It says England Derwent Coloursoft Cream 010. My only critique is I wish that this was pushed down a little farther. But it's a nice looking pencil. It feels good in the hand. Personally, I don't mind that it is a little thicker of a pencil. They don't feel heavy to me. They don't feel cumbersome. But you can see this point is very nubby because it's a soft pencil. But I have no problems sharpening it. Look at how nicely that sharpened up to a wicked little point. Now, I will say, we'll see when I color. I'll leave that out, and we'll see when I color how well it does when I color. Like, how long does it take for Wendy to break it? Which probably won't be long because I'm not the lightest-handed colorist. But that being said, I adore these pencils. Okay? There is a review on the channel of the pencils, and this was my results. Barrel matches the swatch. I gave it 4.5 out of 5. Pigmented 5. 51 of the 72 are considered bite fast. It took 4. I'm not sure what that means. We'd have to watch the video. They're very pigmented, so it doesn't take long. They did not react to water at all. You can see you got a very nice blend, and I got 7 layers. So you can also buy these in a wooden box. Also, they're very opaque in general. There are a few that are translucent, but the majority of these pencils are pretty opaque. So if you're interested, check out the full review. But if you like really soft pencils, I do recommend these pencils. Now, once again, take it with a grain of salt because I'm a little biased towards, I like to work fast. I want the pigment to lay down on the paper immediately. I like polychromos, and you'll see I give it a very good review, but I personally prefer to work with the softer pencils such as Prismacolor. Okay, so here is the second one done with Coloursoft. I really enjoy using the pencils. They feel really good in my hand. I feel like your results are not dissimilar. You can see there's much more pigmentation on the paper, in my opinion. Our colors are a little different. I had to use a greener green. I didn't really have a nice olive tone. This one is kind of olivey, but it's not the same one that we used like here, right? And so our green is a lot brighter. So that's the only downfall here, okay? But overall, I would say these are a creamier, more buttery feel to them. These are more, they're smooth. They go down smooth, but it's a drier feel to the pencil. Not at all scratchy, but just a little drier and a little less pigmented, in my opinion. And we were looking at our pencil. You can see, apologies for the phone. I'll shut it off here when we're done. Let me zoom in. Well, I guess that's as zoomed as we get. I'll try and zoom in more when we edit, but you can see that it's not like it went down to a nub. It did blunt it just a little bit, and I did have just a hair of breakage on. Just, you can see, look how pointed that still is. It just barely broke the tip. That little piece came off. To me, that's just an ultra sharp point, not really indicative of like them not being able to handle any pressure. Okay, next up is the Derwent Chromaflow pencils. Now this is the 150 set. Do you ever wonder why nobody wants to talk to you until you film? Or you get on the phone, or you're doing something, you don't want to be interrupted, and then everybody wants to talk to you? Okay, I should just be grateful somebody wants to talk to me. All right, so I encourage you, look at the review, and I go into great detail what sets hold which pencils, and all of that kind of stuff. Right now, you can, Ellie says hello, you can get the 150 set on Amazon USA for $150, which brings them exactly to $1 a pencil. Now, I debated on which place to put these. Do I put them, and I decided I wanted them here because a lot of the bougie pencils, as I've called them, you know, your artist grade type of pencils are going to be much more than $1, right? And some of them are even more than $2. And so I felt like this one deserved a place in the mid-range pencils. So it has a 3.5 round wax core. The pencil's round. It has a wax core. These are a softer pencil. They're not as soft as the Coloursoft that we just saw. They're not anywhere near smushy. But they go down very nicely. They have a nice fast lay down. They're beautifully pigmented. Here is the sheet that I did from the review, and at the time they were $1.12 a pencil, so they've actually went down a little bit. They come in a 12, 24, 36, 48, 72, 100, and 150. They are open stock. I found that the barrels matched the swatch rather nicely. They were nice and pigmented. I felt like there was a good balanced palette. I like how the pencils look and feel, and we'll talk about that in a second. I can't get a lot of layers, but they do blend nicely. I very much like these pencils and would recommend them. Looking at the palette, you get a lot of really nice light colors to go with some of these darker palette colors, right? Which I really like, because this is a really dark and a dark. Not just dark in the mid-range, right? Because by nature this is a darker color than this one, but these are actual dark colors. And they have a nice little gray line. They've got some decent browns. Overall, really nice pencils. They do have a silver, a gold, a silver mint, and a nice blue. And I'll try and tilt so you can see there is a little bit of a sheen. I could care less about those, so that's just kind of a waste for me. They're not something that I prefer to use. But what else? Let's take a look at the pencil, shall we? Okay, I have mine in this cute little case, and here they are. Now, I don't have my 72 set in here. I had bought the 72 set earlier on in my journey, and then when the 150 came out not that long ago, I went ahead and bought the 150 set. It was cheaper for me to buy the complete 150 set than it was to try and, you know, just buy them open stock and that kind of stuff. But that is always an option. If you have the 72, you can go in and just buy individual pencils. So I love that. Okay, let's take a look at what I've colored using them, and then we'll dive into the pencil themselves. Okay, here's one I colored with Chromaflow colored pencils. And here's another one. Now, these are hard pictures to color, and I don't feel like they really do the pencil justice. I should probably dig around and find another one that I've colored with Coloursoft or Chromaflow, but I'm lazy, y'all. No, it's just a lot. And if I don't label them, it's hard for me to find them. So anyway, those are the two that I have. I'm going to color one here today, and then let's take a peek. I'll grab my white piece of paper, and we can pull out a pencil at random. I always tend to pull out teal, don't I? Love that color. Okay, it says made in England, Derwent Chromaflow. Get you in as far as I can. Caribbean Green 1501. So I do like that they have the name and the number on them. They are a solid black. This is a pine wood, so it's a very soft wood. It's not It's not my favorite. And unlike the rest of the Derwent pencils, these are much thinner and lighter. Did I say what size it was? It says 3.5. So, but it doesn't feel thick in your hand. It's a very lightweight pencil. It feels nice. So I don't want to say it feels flimsy, but this would be really good for people that, like my mom that has a little bit of strength issues. You know, believe it or not, it's hard when you're holding a pencil for a long period of time, the heavier it is, right? And some people that just prefer a thinner pencil. Now, I know I had someone comment on the review I did, and they were going to send them back because they were too thin for them. You can get those pencil grips. I don't have any, but you can slide them onto your pencil, and you can pull them off and slide them on, so you don't have to have a million of them, or you could get one for each pencil. And that person liked them enough that that's what they did. So there is that. I just wanted to note that it's not necessarily a pro or a con. It's just something that you should be aware of. So I'm going to grab the pencils I need, and I'll be right back. Okay, so here is Chromaflow. Now, who is this pencil for? Personally, I think this is an overall winner. It's not overly pricey. It has open stock. It blends well. It layers decently. It's got good lights. It's got good darks. It's got some grays, some browns. You know, the colors aren't too samey. I feel like this overall is a highly recommendable set of pencils. As far as light fastness goes, these really aren't designed to be for people that are selling their art, right? They're more for hobby artists, maybe. Now, there are some light fast colors, but some of them, you know, are not. And generally speaking, it's probably these purples and pinks generally are the ones that aren't as color fast. But I do like this little segment. I wasn't really sure where to put it on my swatch sheet. They have like this muted color set that's a lot like you would see, is it the Castle Art Golds that have these? And I really like them. There's something about these little muted tones that I really like. But yeah, so I would definitely recommend these. Even if you got your 72 set and just kept adding to them, you know, if the budget was a problem. But I don't think that you could go wrong with these. And I do feel like it's kind of like Polychromos and Prismacolor had a baby. Just simply because they aren't as hard as the Polychromos. They're not quite as mushy as the Prismacolor. But overall, I think they have just about everything that you need. So that's my 2 cents. Okay, so here's a page that I colored with the Chromaflow colored pencils. This is in Fairy Tales and Folklore by Emily Lidehall Oberg. And these pencils I thought they worked well in here. I wasn't a huge fan of Polychromos in here, which is the only other pencils that I found, but this is a real smooth paper, and I felt like the Chromaflow did well with it. Okay, next up is Blick. Now, they have their own set of pencils. If you want to buy them in a set, they sell the 72 set, right? But you can purchase the grays additionally. And they do, I went ahead and did it because I wanted to see how well, you know, they stair step up, because Prismacolors are amazing that way. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that you get a good step between the warm grays and the cool grays, and then a few of these outlying grays. But they have two metallics, a gold and a silver. And overall, I mean, once again, you get a lot of the kind of these little bits of sameness that seems to be so prevalent in more lower end pencils. Now, they tout themselves as being an artist grade pencil, and they even have some light fast ratings, though I'm not really sure what system they're using, because the numbers don't really make sense for either. So they might be using their own system. Now, that doesn't mean they're not light fast. I just don't understand their system. As far as the pencils themselves, they are a wax-based pencil. They have a 3.8 millimeter core. I would say this pushes on the softer side, though not soft like Coloursoft or Prisma, where you start getting a little bit more of the crumbly and, you know, having your pencil wear down very quickly. I pulled these out. I don't sharpen my pencils when I put them back. I sharpen them before I use them. So this should give you a fair idea of what I'm talking about. There are, while you can tell that they've all been used and have a little bit of a blunter side, none of them are what I would call dull, where they have no point whatsoever. If you rotate these, most of these still, you could make a very sharp line with them. So they're kind of a nice blend. I didn't find them too soft or too hard. But they do have a smooth laydown. There are a couple of lighter colors here, but as you can see, it's like we have three light pinks. We have, these are the two light blues. Neither one is significantly light. We don't have any light greens, even light yellow. Like, I've been using almost off-white as one of my colors, and I'm going to have to use one of these two colors for my lightest color, which is more like the second color that I've used in other ones. And if you just kind of squint your eyes and you look at this palette, they're almost all the same value. They're all kind of in that medium range. There isn't a lot of darks and there isn't a lot of lights. I would, you know, there are a couple. And like I said, the grays, if you purchase them separately, they do have some decent grays. Now here is the set if you just buy the 72. So you're not going to get all of those grays. But you're also not going to get the lighter pinks. Oh, I think I bought... if you look at the review that I did, I literally list out how to buy the extra pencils. Because I want to say you buy a skin tone and a gray, and then one extra color or something like that. I can't remember at this point. But definitely watch the review if you're interested in that. You can buy these open stock. So let's take a look at a page I've colored. Okay, I colored this one with Blick, but I also based it with Inktense. So I don't know if that's a very fair comparison. But everything that you see on top is the Dick Blick pencils. And then I colored this page with the Dick Blick pencils. So you can, you know, I enjoyed working with the pencils. They remind me a little bit of Chromaflow. I've heard them compared to, is it Kohinoor? I think it's the Kohinoor pencils that they're compared to. I don't have those, so I can't speak to that. The barrels match the colors pretty well. They come in a 12, 24, 36, 48, 72, and then, like I said, some other sets like the gray set, and I believe it's the flesh tone set. We'll take a look at the pencils in a second. As far as pricing, I got the latest price. The latest price for this 72 set is $59.84. So that's 83 cents a pencil. So that puts us right in the range we want to be reviewing right now. Okay, so let's take a look at the pencil themselves. So it is a solid pencil, or a solid color. It has gold foil. Sorry, I'm having difficulty speaking today. Canary Yellow is the name of this one. Now, they put the name on twice, so it's Canary here. Y'all. It's Canary Yellow here, but they also put it down here. I'm not sure what the point of that is. I'm here for it because at least we get to hear before we start losing the name. It says Blick Studio, and then if you turn it over, it has a barcode here, and then it says Czech Republic. So they're made in the Czech Republic. This one will give you a better, maybe you can see it better. I don't know which one you can see better. They're not sealed at the bottom, but you can look, because they're not sealed, you can see that they're perfectly centered. So they did do a good job of that. And it is kind of like smoothed off here, or rounded off to where it's not completely flat. The top is flat and then it kind of curves around. Am I making any sense? Because I know I'm having trouble speaking. Forgive me, y'all. Okay. So let's take a peek. I'm going to go ahead and try and color with these. This is the lightest. It's named Cream, and it looks light, but let's take a look. So it's a little brighter than I would expect just looking at the barrel of this. I gave them a pretty decent rating in my review, so they must not all be like that. So here is just the yellow. You can see it's a lot brighter than the ones we've been using with these other brands. I just didn't have those options available to me. But you can see it kind of blends right in with what I've already laid down. Which can be a good or a bad thing, depending on, you know, how you want to color and what you want your final outcome to be. The pencil themselves, it's a little bigger pencil. It almost feels like a Derwent pencil, that it's kind of thick like that, but it's not real heavy. They probably used like a really light wood. there is almost, I don't want to say sticky because it's kind of like, that sounds negative, right? And it isn't necessarily a negative thing. They feel a little different to me coloring with them. Almost like they're sticky. They don't just like slide right over the paper. But they do lay down a nice pigment. I am not pushing hard at all. But there is a little bit of a difference in the feel. For me, I don't feel like these are soft like Prisma or anything like that, but it has more of a firm, smooth laydown. But that being said, it's a little faster laydown than other pencils. Oh yeah, let's put, if that makes sense at all. Like some pencils you have to work to get the pigment on the paper. I don't feel like I have to work to get this pigment to lay down at all. But it is just a little different feel. Now, we could take a little bit of, you could go in with your brown or something if you wanted to really define, our petals here. So it's interesting to me. It feels different than a typical wax pencil. So who would I recommend these pencils for? These would make an excellent student pencil, meaning like your kids, right? If you have a child that's really into art and they're interested in colored pencils, I think something like this, and maybe they've been doing it for a while, I think a pencil like this could be really nice especially if they have a tendency to use the same colors, because you can get these open stock. With a lot of these pencils, I feel very similar. Like there's nothing particular about Blick Studio pencils that comes to the table that I can't find in other brands. The one thing I will say is it is nice to be able to get them open stock, and they're a really decent pencil. Before I move on, I thought I would show you the pencils in the case. Don't they look pretty? I have them in with my black edition. Okay, next up, let's take a look at the black edition pencils. Now, these pencils are actually aimed at kids, maybe young adults to older children. And they are also aimed for use on black paper. So when I did my swatch sheet, I went ahead and put in a black line. Now on mine, I painted it in because I had already colored them all in before I realized I wanted that. So on yours, it will be nice and neat and tidy on your printer. There are options for both, with and without the black. Now, as always, these are on the Ko-fi shop. They're free, or you can donate if you so choose. But you're never obligated to do so. Okay, so when I got these, I had to order them from Cult Pens, I believe is where I got these, because they weren't available, and I just, you know, I'm impatient, so I had to get my hands on them. Now, I think you can buy them in sets of 12, 24, 50, and 100, plus they have a metallic set. Now, it used to be that you couldn't get the 100 set in the States, but I looked today on Amazon. You can get the 100 set. It will be delivered overnight to my house for roughly $69, which makes these 69 cents a pencil. So it's pretty reasonable. They are touted as being a very soft pencil, that they've added something to the core to make them break resistant for kids. So there's that. They are a triangular based pencil. So let's take a look, just because they are different. So they're all black, including this wood here. And they're a very lightweight pencil. They are triangular. It says 784 Faber-Castell. That is all you get. There are no names to these pencils at all, even on the website, at least at the time of my review. As far as my review, there is one on the channel. I kind of dinged them for only having the 50 available. They're not open stock. What else? Balanced palette. I feel like there's a lot of, you know, like all budget pencils, a lot of that vibrant mid-tone range and not a lot of the super light. Even though this is a little lighter than we saw with the Blick pencils, we still don't get a lot of lights. There are a couple of lighter tones, so it's not awful. And a couple of darker tones, but not a lot. Grays, there's a lot of blue gray for some reason, but then no real cool gray, like a light cool gray, like a 10%, or 30%, anything like that. And there are 5 neons. So if you like neons, then you'll like these. They are an opaque pencil. Let's take a look. I did this page, and there is a full color along on the channel. So you can get bright, vivid colors, and, you know, get a good result from them. But if you notice, it's all the midtones. There isn't a lot of depth in this. There's some highlights, but not a lot of those darker tones. Now, I had a lot of fun doing this page, and I like how it turned out, but, excuse me, it's just something to be aware of. Okay. Really, I think that's probably about it. So, I number mine, so it doesn't matter to me about the names. I felt like I got a decent number of layers, and they blended fairly nicely. So, let's go ahead and find our page. I've picked out some colors. I will point out, this is how these were left. So this one is pretty pointy, so my guess is I never used that one. So that is a good comparison for these others. But you can see, even though I've used them, so here's the pointy one, right? This is helpful, right? I didn't lose a lot of pencil, but they definitely blunt down because they are a little softer. So I'm going to sharpen these, and then I'll be right back. So who would I recommend these pencils for? Teenagers, younger kids, you know, like the 7 to 10 years old, I think would have a lot of fun with these, especially being able to play around on darker paper, because kids don't always make those kind of connections. You know, they just have their colored pencils and maybe they have a scrap piece of black paper, and I think they would enjoy being able to have those colors pop out so nicely on the black. Even though that one tip broke, I had sharpened those to a very, very needle point, because look at this pencil now. I mean, that isn't a bad, it's not like Prisma where the core popped out or anything like that. It just, the very tip broke. So I do feel like those are, you know, kind of a good thing. Be careful of the no open stock, but you've got quite a few to choose from. So if you lose a blue, you've got some others. So this is kind of what these type of pencils bring to the table. Okay, here's what these look like. I'll show you why I put them away. I love this system so much, so I know exactly where these pencils go at a glance. I don't have to spend a lot of time figuring it out. It is that simple. But those are the pencils right there. Okay, next up is the Black Widow pencils. Now these pencils are, I think, a little bit unique. So they are sold in 7 different sets to make up all 180. And I think sometimes people don't really understand how the sets work in relationship to each other. Most of these sets aren't really designed to be a standalone set. Okay, so let's talk about these pencils. So you can buy these pencils in different sets. There's 7 different sets. So there's the Black Widow, the Scorpion, Monarch, Dragon, Black Widow, Scorpion, Cobra, Dragon, Monarch, and then there's light skin tones and dark skin tones. They're a little unique in the sense that not all the sets are really designed to be used as standalone sets. So if you were to get like the Dragon set, for example, I don't think has a lot of like yellows and oranges. It's like more heavily in the reds, maybe. I can't remember. Here's what I'll say. If you want a deeper breakdown, let me know and I will break these out. I do have a review on the channel where I talk about all of the different things, but I don't know if I break them into each set for you. The pencils themselves are a 3.3 wax core, and then they have a soft and creamy center. Now, these are not mushy at all, and in terms of fast laydown, I would say they're a medium laydown. They don't, they put down pigment on the paper, but it isn't quite as dramatic as something like a Prisma. But you don't have to layer it 20 times like a Polychromos. So, but they have a very unique feel, and not everyone likes it. Some people absolutely adore these pencils. For me, the biggest strength that they have is one, if you buy the whole set, which would be $115 for 180 pencils, because you can, that's what I figured it up on Amazon. They're 64 cents a pencil. So I've heard people say that they're expensive. I think it depends on where you're at. These pencils are out of Australia. So here in the United States, if I were to buy all 180 today, it would be $115. Now, what I will say is I love some of these very unique colors. There are some great colors in here. There are also some really unique names in the set too. They don't just name stuff white. They are named space and like, what is it? Black Widow, Gunmetal, Dungeon. So they kind of have some really fun names. Now, some of them are very typical. Navy Blue, Zephyr Blue, Blood Red, Ladybug, Toadstool. I mean, so it's a combination of light yellow and then these funner names, right? They are open stock if you speak to Albert. If you go to their Facebook page, when I bought my set, one of my sets had a duplicate green. And so I reached out and I was like, hey, I got this one and it had two of this green and not this green. What can we do? They sent me a whole new set of pencils. No questions asked, just so sorry that it happened, sent me this set of pencils, which I thought was fantastic customer service. Now, that was very early on when they first came out. Now, I do know that they do have good customer service, and you can buy them open stock, but you have to reach out to him via Facebook, and you have to say, hey, you know, I want this color or that color. Now, if you don't live in Australia, you're going to pay some shipping. So I would wait until you needed a few colors and then buy them. But I do like that that is an option. I also like that you do get some really nice darks, but you also get some really nice lights. And, you know, like these kind of colors. There's two different whites. There's a nice little mix of grays. I don't think that their grays are very stair-step like Prismacolor, but you have choices, right? So that's kind of the pros and cons of Black Widow. Let me grab them so we can take a look. Okay, here they are in this case. So there's a lot of pencils. 180 is a lot of pencils. Here's the extra. So it was in the Scorpion set. I got an extra green glass. Just so you know. But anyway, let's grab one. Let's grab maybe this one. We'll get you zoomed in. So it's a hexagonal shaped barrel. It does have the black core like the Black Edition pencils. It is primarily black with a different dipped end. It should match the barrel. Now, I have found a lot of these don't exactly match up. Let's see. Let's see if this one does. So can you see that? You saw me just kind of grab it at random. This one is significantly more yellow than this. So you definitely, this is why I'm such an advocate for swatch charts, because this happens more than you think. So this one's 120. So you can see, here it is. This, you can hardly see. It's such a small swatch. The calm line. But honestly, wouldn't you think it would be this color here, right? If I had to pick one, I would say, oh, this is grass blade. But no, this one's calm lime. Okay? So I think these are a good set of pencils. I enjoy them quite a lot. Let me show you a couple of different pages that I've colored with them. This is in Creative Haven. It's like the zooming in and out, right? Creative Haven Main Street Coloring. I did this page. It's a full color along on the channel, so you can take a look if you're interested. But I like how this page turned out. And I felt like the pencils performed well in this book. Another page I colored is in this book. This is a Japanese coloring book. I have so much stuff on my desk. It makes me crazy. Okay, so this is Yoyuri Mouse's Adventures or something like that. And I colored this page. Zoom it in a little. And I enjoyed working in this book a lot with the Black Widow. I felt like they worked really well. I just wanted, this is, I probably used that grass blade because look, it matches here. But I enjoyed coloring with them on this paper. It is a little bit of a smoother paper, so I feel like it can handle various papers. But I do know a couple of people that don't like these pencils at all, and that's okay too. But anyway, let's go ahead. We looked at the pencil. Well, no, we didn't. Did we look at the pencil? No, I just talked about how the color didn't match. Okay, so this says Dragon Calm Line. The name is way too high up. DG143. And then the stripe and then the dipped end. This color looks like this color here. Like looking at that color, I would not think that that's this yellow green, right? It doesn't even color the same way. I just think you need to be aware of that. Would I prefer that they match? Absolutely. But that's why I do a swatch sheet. Okay? Okay, so this color. Okay, so that was the Black Widow pencils. So who are these pencils for? I think these are a good set of pencils as an additional set to ones you already have. There are some amazingly beautiful colors in this set, and I personally very much enjoy using them. The struggle with, if you're a brand new colorist, is do you want to get the whole set? If you do, look at all the beautiful colors you have. There are some samey kind of colors for sure, but with 180, even if 60 of them are similar, you are getting a very broad spectrum of colors. and you're getting a good blend of darks and lights and some stair steps. So if I could say, well, these two are the same, I still have step, 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 one of those two, and then this one, right? So even in the yellows, I mean, it progressively gets darker. So I really enjoy these pencils. I do tend to like a softer pencil, and I don't know. I mean, some of my favorites are oil, some of my favorites are wax, but I do like a faster lay down pencil. And this one's kind of more of a medium one. I feel like I do have to layer a little bit or put multiple layers down, but you know, I think the key is with these pencils is if you're gonna like them, generally it's because you got the whole set and you can really work them within each other. Okay, next up, I am going to talk about this set, though we're not going to color it. This is the Castle Arts Harmonious colored pencil set. Now, this is all just moody, muted colors, and I'm here for it. I really enjoy the colors in this palette, but I do find it a little challenging to just use this palette. There are some fantastic colors in here, but to me, I would probably lean towards supplementing these colors with your other pencils. So adding it to some of those budget pencils that don't have a lot of these light colors. Or, you know, if you're a purple fan, a lot of cheaper brands don't have a good purple line. So this can be an option. Now, I know for a while they were not offering these even on Amazon. You had to buy them through Castle Arts. Now, it does look like they're now available on Amazon USA. And they run $40 for the 72 or $45 for this. As of today, they're $40. A week ago, they were $45. So definitely keep your eye on that because the prices do fluctuate. For those of you that are confused, and I'm pointing to you, Wendy, I guess what I'm saying is that Castle Art runs these pencils frequently on sale. When I bought my Soft Touch and the Gold, they were running a sale of like 40% off. And so I almost got one set for free. So keep an eye on that. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. Okay, next up is Jane Davenport's Magic Wand Skincare Flora and Faro pencils. Now, the top half here, up to 48, these are all watercolor pencils, and all of these down here are colored pencils. And there's a whole story that goes along with this, but let's start with the positive, and let's look at the beautiful tints that these pencils come in. I'll try and keep you out of the glare. So here's one of the sets. I believe these are the colored pencils. Here is the skin tones. Now this is just a sleeve. It's not a decorative tin. On the sleeve though, it does have the palette, and it talks about the darker skin tones, the lighter skin tones, some of the contouring and shadow colors to use, and the eyeball color, the lash line. Then there's a white pencil if you like to blend with white, and then there's what she calls the polishing pencil, which is essentially just a blender pencil, no pigment. Okay, so there's that one. There's this one. Absolutely beautiful. And this one. And on the back of the last two are little palettes. And let me close that one. So aren't they pretty? Okay, so the story is this. I ordered these, and she's out of Australia. You have to order from her website. They run about $27 to $30 for a set of 24, which puts them over $1 a pencil already, and then you pay shipping on top of that. But I thought, that's okay. I'm just starting my journey. I really love these pencils, or I love the colors. I just want these pencils. Apologies, I have no idea why my computer randomly does that. When I got them, I put them all together. So they're not how they came in the tins. But this is what her colored pencils look like. They basically have, this one has her name on it, and that's it. So this one set just has Jane Davenport and the name of the color. It's underneath my pencil number. And then the other set, which looks like the skin set, comes, it says Magic Wand, Jane Davenport, and the color name. Okay? So that's how these pencils come. The watercolor pencils look like this. Okay? You see how old this is? It's tape before I learned that you got to use Scotch Superhold. Okay, it says Magic Wand, Jane Davenport, and the color name, but it's a black barrel with the silver and a dipped end, right? The real lightweight, we've seen these pencils, we've seen similar pencils before, right? Okay, so that's how these came. So 2 sets of each. I put all the watercolors together up here and all of the colored pencils together down here. I was a little disappointed. I felt like when you buy 2 sets of tins, you kind of expect them to have different colors. And I felt like one tin had this 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 one. I was like, okay, they're very similar. Granted, there's subtle differences. I get that. But they're essentially very, very similar, right? And it really bothered me, and I reached out to her. And her customer service was terrible, in my opinion. And so the whole experience between the weight, the cost, the disappointment of the sameness, topped with her customer service, I was big mad. And I did a whole video on it. So if you want to get into the drama of it all, check it out. It's going to be in my very, very early videos. I don't think it's necessary to check it out. I would just look at these pencils and decide, are they for you, right? Do you like the palette enough to put up with those things, and or where you live, because it might be cheaper for you to get them. So this is not me trying to bash on the pencils. This is me telling you my experience and why I am jaded over it. I went ahead, in fairness, and used the color pencils down here to color our flower. We only had one green, so I did my best with that. But you will see that lack of pigmentation is also part of the issue. I am not talking about the watercolors at this point. Maybe in another video we can dive into that. But anyway, I'm going to turn it over to the coloring portion, okay? And if I repeat myself, apologies. I've redone this video segment a couple of times because I'm not one that feels comfortable bashing a company. I will call a company out or say that maybe these pencils aren't for me or whatever. And so I want to make sure that I'm being fair and letting you know why I'm jaded, so that you can make a good decision for yourself. Okay? Let's end on a positive note. Oh my word, I absolutely love these colors down here. I just really do. I love the mermaidness of it all. And I may pull these out and try and incorporate them into another pencil set because I can. Because I'm the boss of my pencils too. Okay, we're off. Okay, as you can see, not a lot of great pigment. I didn't want to pop into the watercolors to get our colors because this isn't a watercolor video, and so the only green we had is this one. Let me bump into this color and see if we can get a little more color on our flower there. But you can see the pigmentation just really is not great. Okay. Okay. Color it again just to see if we can bump it up a little. I just really wasn't impressed, especially given what I paid for them. I almost put these in the bougie set. But really, the only thing bougie about these pencils is the price. We're going to go with it, okay? All right, we got one more set. It's our dearly beloved Prismas, so I will be right back with you. Let me clean up my mess. Okay, next up is Prismacolor, the love 'em or hate 'em pencil. Now, I personally love Prismacolor. A lot of people don't like them, especially due to sometimes they have poor quality where the cores are off center. They do tend to break if you're real heavy-handed or if the pencil has been mistreated, potentially not even by you, but maybe during shipment or something, and you can get some breaks in the core. Now, there's a lot of little people say, well, put them on a heating pad, put them in the window, you know, let them heat up and kind of melt that wax core back together and then let them cool again. So, you know, you could definitely try something like that. I personally haven't experienced a huge amount of that. I do get occasional breakage. I do think you need to use a sharp pencil sharpener, meaning you can't use one with dual blades because they will break. Many people have suggested the T-Gall. I would show you mine, but I can't find it. I know it's in one of my bags because I usually use it when I travel because it's a little handheld sharpener that, you know, has like the little cover on it. And it's adjustable. But many people have found success with that. I personally use the Doll 133, which is the manual hand crank one, and I think it's just fine. But a lot of it depends on the person. right? Now, these are an extremely soft core pencil. I do not have a review on the channel, but there are no shortage of color alongs on my channel where I use them because I absolutely adore the palette of Prismacolors. They have some unique colors that you can only find in Prismacolor. They have some amazing light colors. They have some amazing dark colors. They have some muted tones. They've got some more vibrant tones. I just feel like it's a beautiful palette, and I really struggle to find palettes that I think are comparable. That's a personal opinion, okay? But I'm not alone. The amount of color alongs out on the YouTubes where people use Prisma is insane. And what I like about them is, like, Karen with My Colorful Country Life uses them quite a bit, and she uses them differently than I do, and yet we both get, in my opinion, good results. Her process is just a little different. These are a pencil that you can layer. They're much more of a blender kind of pencil because they tend to kind of smush together a little bit more than other pencils. And they are kind of the pillar upon which everything else is compared, right? So you can get them in 12, 24, 36, 72, 132, and 150 pencils. As of within the last week on Amazon USA, I could buy them for $139 for the 150, and that makes 92 cents a pencil. Keep your eye out. I have seen these go really low. I've seen them go really high. I do know in other countries they can be way more expensive and harder to get, which I am so sorry for you. You can buy these open stock, and what I like is that a lot of, I would say maybe a third of the pencils, maybe half, I don't know, but some of the pencils you can actually just go to your, Hobby Lobby or Michael's, and they have them on hand open stock there. But art stores always carry them. I personally buy mine on Blick because I usually save up and buy a few. I've even watched, and like on Black Friday or times when I see the whole set go on sale, I have bought an additional set. And then that's what I did. They had an $88 sale last year, and so I bought a whole different set. Watch on eBay. Now, I know people say you get what you get on eBay, but if you vet the vendor, I have gotten some amazing deals. I bought my Holbeins directly from a vendor on eBay for almost half of what, they were like 200 and something, which sounds insane, but they're like 400 and something like on Amazon for the full set. So, yeah, I had to wait a month, but my husband did all the tracking down for me as a gift, and they were beautiful. They were the original Holbeins. They were unopened, new in the tin. It's just people in Japan can get them cheaper, and so they ship them to the United States and sell them. All right, I'm digressing. Let's take a peek at some Prismacolor. These 2 pages were done with Prismacolor. No, they weren't. Those were polychromos. All right, she's lying right off the bat. Okay, I used Prismacolor here. That was and fine liner. So that was a pointillism, but all of this in the, this purple in the background was Prisma. These 2 pages were done with Prisma. I like polychromos a lot in this book. I think the rest are Inktense, polychromos. Oh, this one is also Prisma. But look at that palette. I really adore that. And I will say it's very hard to duplicate this palette, this particular color combo in other pencils, because the pencil colors just don't exist in other palettes. Okay? But anyway, what else can I say? They're a wax-based pencil, 3.8 millimeter round core, soft, creamy laydown. I will say the people that will enjoy these pencils, if you like doing color alongs, if you like following people on the internet, Prismacolor is a good one to get because most artists use Prismacolor at least part of the time. They are cheaper than polychromos, which are a totally different kind of pencil, but are probably, polychromos and Prisma are probably the most used on channels in general. And it's because they've been around forever. I have had my first set of Prismas I got before my boys even graduated from high school, and they're in their 30s. So 2006 maybe, something like that. I bought my first set of Prismas, and you're gonna laugh, but I absolutely hated coloring with a colored pencil. I bought Copics instead, and I used Copics for many years before I branched into colored pencil because I'm impatient, and colored pencil is just slower than Copic. That's just the reality of it. So let's take a look. I'm gonna grab some colors and we'll color. I'm not gonna dwell a lot on Prismacolor because I think everybody is well aware of Prismacolor. So I'm just gonna color it up so that we have the comparison. Okay, so let's take a look. Once again, I feel like a lot of this colored pencil selection is about, does it have the traits that you want? And how does the pencil feel in your hand? Does it go with your style of coloring? Because we all color a little differently, right? I'll give you an example. Some people are very health conscious, right? And they want to use all natural cleaning products. And so they're willing to sacrifice a little bit of, they might have to do a little more work to get the result they want because they're using something that they think is health conscious, and so they understand they might have to scrub a little harder to get the results. In the end, they get them, right? And then there's the person that's like, no, I want to use, we're gonna say bleach. I'm not saying bleach is unhealthy. Don't come at me. And maybe you think it is unhealthy, so don't come at me there either. Nobody come for me. But I'm just saying they might use a stronger product like that and get a quicker result. In the end, they may end up with similar results, but one person used a harsher chemical and one person used a healthier alternative but had to work harder. Sometimes when you buy budget pencils, you have to work a little harder. When you buy artist grade pencils that have a lot more pigment than filler in them, you don't have to work quite as hard. I don't know if you can tell, like huge differences in these flowers other than color and that kind of stuff. I felt the difference when I was coloring it, and there are certain ones that I enjoyed coloring with more. They just felt better in my hand. They felt better going on the pencil or on the paper for me. Some of it depends on what paper are you an Amazon coloring book colorer? Because there are pencils that do better on that. Or do you only own books that have more smooth paper, and maybe certain pencils look better than others? The fairy tales and folklore book is a little pickier which pencils. You can use any of them, but you're going to have to work a little harder with some of them. So I hope that that makes sense, and I hope that you found some value in this. This was Jane Davenport, and this is Prismacolor. So next week we will do the artist grade pencils, aka my bougie pencils. It looks like we'll be doing 6 different sets next week. So stay tuned. I appreciate you watching. I hope you find this helpful. Don't hesitate to ask me any questions in the comments. I'm happy to answer them the best that I can, and or test out whatever your question is and get back to you. So until next time, happy coloring! Thank you for watching another video from Jazzydoodledesigns. If you'd like even more Jazzy Doodle and a little more snark, please check out the membership below. If you're looking for a community where you can share your work and chat with other fellow colorists in a safe and welcoming environment, hit the subscribe button to Jazzydoodledesigns, and then look for Jazzydoodledesigns Coloring Community on Facebook. And there you can join a group of fellow colorists to talk all things coloring and share cute pet pictures. I hope to see you there, and until next time, happy coloring.